everyone. I'm super excited. Every once in a while, I just like to provide value and bring you a special guest. And I got an opportunity to share a really powerful message with you. A dear friend of mine mentioned her sister and what she was up to. And I just felt it's so necessary to share her message with you. Kate Codrington is a mentor, speaker, facilitator, artist, and has been a therapist for 30 years. A pioneering spirit, Kate was the first to graduate the Menstruality Medicine Circle facilitator. She's the host of Life, an Inside Job podcast, and we know I'm all about the inside job, right? Created the multi-level art textile project, The Pants of Empowerment and Threads of Friendship, and create seasonal Yoga Nidra inspired by the land where she lives in Hertfordshire. Oh my God, that just sounds so beautiful. And with Leora Leboff, she co-founded Womankind Facilitating Retreats for menstruating and menopausal folk to build more kindness into their lives. When she's not doing these things, you will find her playing in the compost heaps, out in the dirt, a girl after my own heart, playing
I'm
in
hiding
the
my
dirt.
hands.
Oh my God, welcome, Kate. I'm so excited to just be able to share what you're up to with my community. So thanks so much for being here.
Oh, it's an absolute delight. Thank you for taking the time. And I think that my subject, menopause and perimenopause, has so much value for your people because there are so many superpowers that will help them declutter their lives.
I love superpowers, but first and foremost, I want to know, like, how did you get so passionate about helping people through menopause? Like, what's your why behind what you do?
Well, I was curious about my own transition. You know, there's really 10 years ago, perimenopause wasn't really spoken about very much. And as I started to get into it and getting into the change, I realized that what was the information that was available to me was very superficial, and it was about the outside job. You know, most of it is about the way we look, how we can perform for other people out there or not, and not about how we were feeling inside. So as a therapist who's been working with internal processes, I had to find out. And as I built a community and discovered more myself, what I found was that people were navigating perimenopause with kindness and consciousness. And these were ordinary people. This wasn't like they're a super therapist, you know, like I meditate all day. You know, these were ordinary people with kids and jobs and, you know, messy, ordinary lives, but with so much courage and so much integrity. And they were learning all about how they could heal and how they could grow. And it's like a sort of natural, bespoke, spiritual personal growth workshop.
Mm, love it, love it, love it. And so, like, I think, I mean, what technically, for people that don't know, like, what's the difference between perimenopause and menopause?
Thank you. Really good to get this clear. Perimenopause means before your periods stop. So that could be almost beginning in your late 30s. You might feel changes in your menstrual cycle, or you might start to get really kind of a bit pissed off, a bit what do you say in America?
Oh, that explains it. Okay, now I know what's going on.
Okay, so your tolerance, things as estrogen shifts, things that you used to go, oh, don't worry, I'll pick up the towel. Oh, don't worry, that dish you left, it's fine. That isn't okay anymore. And this is, you know, superficial in our lives, but it's about bringing great clarity and discernment to our boundaries. And this is where the clutter thing comes in, because what is lying around your house and lying around our heads becomes intolerable. It's actually quite hard to resist decluttering in perimenopause.
Oh, interesting. That's why I have lots of people in that age group as my clients.
Yeah,
Very
it's
interesting.
self-selecting because it becomes it's itches. You know, the mess, the debris of our lives itches.
Yeah, it's like, so what are some of the other symptoms people experience in perimenopause? How would someone know they're in perimenopause?
Well, it's a process of increasing sensitivity. So the possibilities for symptoms are quite wide. I mean, most people would understand about hot flushes, but you might not expect stomach upset, say, or frozen shoulder, or migraine, or this kind of thing.
Okay.
It's really important that you go to your doctor and get it checked out, because one of the things that happens is that it's kind of like a report book on how you have lived so far. So if you have pushed through your 20s and pushed through your 30s and pushed through your 40s, and your self-care has been patchy, then you will be feeling it in your 40s.
Okay.
And that might be perimenopause, or it might be some underlying health issue that is just emerging at the time. So it's often quite difficult to tell.
Got it. Okay.
But regardless of what's happening, your key is to turn inwards. Your key is to come back to ourselves. So what I use a seasonal framework. So it's a natural, I mean, in the Northern Hemisphere for us, it's a natural, intuitive way of thinking about it, so that we expand outwards into the world, followed by a contraction in towards ourselves, to let go, so that we can expand out again. Yeah. You know, and we become sort of increasingly yang, more active, more about productivity and doing stuff and seeing stuff, and, you know, out and out and out and out. And then we come back and back and back and back. And this operates within, you know, from our teenage years, we want to conquer the world. And in our 30s, we're probably going to want to have our gifts recognized in the world. You know, we're going to hit our head on glass ceilings. We're going to we're going to go after that job. We're going to make the change we want to see, you know, to get recognition for our creative projects. You know, it's very much about being seen, you know, or have kids. You know, it's very much about, look, I made a human. You know, that's it's a neat trick if you can do it, right? But then come the autumn, which is perimenopause, our attention goes inwards, and we start to recalibrate. We kind of lose ourselves in our summer. Mm-hmm. We lose ourselves to other people. Right. We kind of get adrift, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the soul call, I think, is to come back to ourselves. And knowing this is absolute gold, because we feel the world thinks that we should keep giving, right? Come on. Come on.
Yes.
You know, doing.
They forget we're human beings.
Toxic productivity and giving more and being everything to everybody else, and can't you smile when you're doing it? You know, all this stuff doesn't work in perimenopause. And this is a natural corrective, because that toxic productivity, the giving, the being everything to everyone, is not a sustainable practice. We have to come home to ourselves and let go.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about like the ebb and flow of the tides. There's a season for everything, you know. It's not just one way the whole time. You can't just constantly giving without any, you know, turning within. I mean, I talk about it with my clients all the time. It's like, if you're constantly just putting out, it's like you're a bank account. You're making all these withdrawals with no deposits. What happens when you do that? You go into the red, right? And so you're operating from this depletion rather than from an overflow.
Yeah. And I mean, we don't need to talk about vulnerability, because thank you, Brene Brown. She's done it all for us. So that's taken care of. But despite all that amazing work that she's done, as, you know, operating as a female in the way that we do in the Western world, we feel still, which is nuts, that we have to cope. We mask, you know, that. How are you feeling today? I'm tired. Oh, we don't say that. We're like, oh, I'm great. You know,
fine.
I'm fine. Yeah, and that masking, the masking of our vulnerability, of our grief, of our sadness, of the overwhelm, of the clutter in our minds and in our homes, is absolutely exhausting and holds us stuck, I think.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So why are people so afraid of perimenopause and menopause? Like, what's the big fear about?
You know, it's so difficult. there is so much fear. There is so much fear. So the question I'm most often asked is, am I in perimenopause? And I don't even want to answer that, because I don't care. What I want to address is the fear that, what are you afraid of here? And what people, if you, in a safe environment with spaciousness, if you ask and inquire gently, then it's about losing the plot. It's about being unlovable. It's about being useless. It's about, and different countries have different languages, but here it would be dried up, old hag,
Right.
witch, all this stuff. And it's about a patriarchal culture that only values appearance in women and the capacity for biological fertility,
Right.
and does not celebrate power in women, and is afraid of powerful older women with opinions. Because we're not interested in picking the towels up and doing the dishes and this kind of stuff anymore. And we're not going to be productive. We're in aging bodies, and we have discernment. How am I going to choose to live my life?
Exactly. My life.
What's going to be pleasurable for me?
Yeah.
What's going to be fun?
Yeah. So there's lots of power we get to harness in perimenopause. Like how can we harness it to clear our physical space, our mental space? How do we declutter with this power of perimenopause?
Okay, so first we need to slow down.
What? Did you just say slow down? People need to what? Did you hear that? You have to slow
down.
What do you mean? I can't go 50 miles a minute and have no time for myself. I get to slow down? What's that?
How much time do you spend on social media scrolling?
Right. Anytime you want to distract, it's like social media. You know how much time you would have if you weren't on social media for the day? Like, just think about how much time you would have to do the things that you love if you weren't on social media.
And I mean, another superpower in menopause is that our deaths become clear. We are mortal.
Yeah, 100% of all people die. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Time is short, and that is enormous. That wakes you up.
Yeah.
It really wakes you up to, okay, so, on your deathbed, are you going to wish you spent more time scrolling? No.
How many likes did I get? How many people commented on my post?
I think that this topic about social media is very apposite, because it's an outward focus. It's all about comparison. It's about our attention is out there, very distracting, and totally keeps us away from our hearts. It keeps us away from our guts. It keeps us away from our values. So once we slow down, we can feel into our bodies. We can feel into what it feels like to be asked to do something when we're already depleted and we're not receiving enough from the situation. And people have, I mean, there's no surprise that frozen shoulders and joint problems are so prevalent in menopause, because we've been carrying so much, around on our shoulders, and our shoulders don't want to do it anymore.
They've had enough. They're like, screw you, I'm done. I'm frozen now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really time to pay attention to the body's messages, and to feel the lift of our shoulders when we're afraid, to feel the kind of the sort of sinking belly when there's something that we really don't want to do. And
you let the belly hang out instead of holding it all in. Did you just say that?
I know. Slow down and let it hang out.
Let it all hang out, baby.
Because holding onto our bellies will harm our digestion, will reduce the circulation, restrict the blood flow in the pelvic bowl. Look, most of our serotonin is made in the gut.
Yeah.
Happy hormone. So by kind of the washboard stomach and sucking it in, it's actually restricting all that. It's making us less happy.
Yeah, I actually had a chiropractor tell me I was wearing my belt too tight one time, like just literally cutting off the energy from the lower. It's like you get to loosen up your belt so that that doesn't affect all of that.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah.
absolutely. So what else? What else is there? I think I think the main thing is to slow down and to bring kindness to ourselves, you know. So that, you know, the belly
Self-compassion,
hanging.
kindness, like those are like foreign concepts to most people.
So let's break it. It is, and it's not easy because we've had a lifetime of receiving criticism and internalizing critical voices. So the really simple way to do it is to find in the moment, what would I really love to receive here? You know, and that doesn't happen when we're rushing around. We have to pause, and it helps. Self-touch helps. I find lots of people find that really useful to put your. I mean, you can do it with your arms crossed sneakily.
Yep. Oh yeah, I do
I'm
it
giving
with my
myself
mom.
a cuddle.
Yep.
What I really need right now, and there's usually a lot of kind of unloved little inner children who are just like, oh, when are we going to get to play?
Right? I swear I'm never growing up. Like it's just not going to happen. It's just
Mm,
not going to happen.
mm. So those tiny moments of tending to small kindnesses, and that doesn't have to be, you know, a month-long retreat. That doesn't have to be, and I would say probably shouldn't be a very costly kind of expensive thing that you go and invest in.
Right.
It's about doable, tiny, little incremental steps in our everyday. You know, you look in the mirror
Appreciate yourself,
and
love yourself.
you look in the mirror and you think, and then you catch, oh yeah, there's that critical voice
Yep.
about my whatever it is that you don't like about your face.
Right.
How can I reframe this? You know, wake up to the miracle that we're alive this morning. We're made of stardust and I don't know, stardust and green juice or whatever we're made of, you know. It's
We're pretty
amazing.
amazing when you think about it. I mean, the human body is just so profound, like what it's capable of, how it animates. Like it's just so, so amazing to be alive, to be human, to like
Yeah,
breathe.
yeah. And so easy to forget
Oh,
as well.
100%. 100%.
So the slowing down helps us to notice where we
Yeah.
are and notice how we feel and notice the critical voices so that we can catch them.
Yeah. So what do you think the biggest thing that gets in the way of women harnessing the power of perimenopause? Like what really stops them from being able to harness the power? Because there's so much power is accessible to you when you go through this change. It's not just, oh, like these are the things that happen. Like it's a huge, powerful time in a woman's life that you go through. It's not just, you know, you're not able to have kids and you stop having a period and you have hot flashes you know what I mean?
Yeah. Poor boundaries, essentially. Over helping, over
Mm,
giving, emotional labor,
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And because we live in a patriarchal culture, we're subject to this not good enough. And that's not only true for women, that's also true for any marginalized community, you know, to the queer community, to the trans community. We're constantly on the alert, expecting to be judged. Oh, I have to, oh. And this keeps us a degree of anxiety and tension, fueled often by social media in the background all the time, so that we're constantly overworking.
Yep.
And again, it's about coming back into ourselves. If we can feel what we really need, even and give ourselves even a tiny bit, it just makes a massive difference. And hormonally too.
Yeah.
Reducing the cortisol in our systems helps to balance our endocrine system and balance the estrogen and the progesterone.
Yeah. Getting out of fight or flight is a great idea.
So soothing the nervous system. And you know, one of the things I say in my book, Second Spring, is about how we already know what we need.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to a super expensive course or a menopause coach, or people. I do see people one-to-one, but you don't need to do that because you already have the soothing that you have learned over your lifetime, whether it's stroking yourself or someone was saying, I like a warm cup. The contact of her hand on
Yeah.
the cup
Mm-hmm.
does it for her.
Yeah.
Or movement, or running, or looking at something beautiful, or looking at the edges in your room, or going into nature, or
Yep.
whatever your thing is. You've already been doing this stuff for 40, 50 years.
Yeah. It's just a matter of slowing down and paying attention and listening.
Yeah, and giving ourselves permission.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. So you guys started talking about something I wanted to bring up next because you mentioned your book. And I was going to say, you're so passionate about this. You actually wrote a book. I would love for you to share about your book, Second Spring, with everyone and tell them what was
Here she is.
there it
Yay!
is. There it is. What was the
There she is.
motivation behind writing your book?
Well, to reassure people that they don't need fixing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money to be made out of making people feel that they're ill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just go into your chemist, your drugstore, and look at the anti-aging products. It's
Right.
endless,
Yeah.
and it gets its little claws into us, and it creates a huge amount of money for companies.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, you're going into menopause, you're losing estrogen. So here, take some hormone replacement therapy. Like,
Yeah.
hello, the
And
body's supposed to go through this process.
I mean, the hormone replacement therapy works very well for some people. For some people, it's an absolute lifeline. They're right on the edge. And thank God, thank you for that. But when it's sold because people are afraid and they're not given options to care for themselves, it can go very badly wrong.
Yeah.
And take a long time to find the right kind of dose. There's no one size fits all. And I wonder if where hormone therapy brings your energy levels up again, does that mean that you miss out on the superpowers? A little bit, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Because given the choice, given the choice, we want to run around. We are so resistant to facing ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wrote a book, Freedom from Clutter, and in it I talk about an experiment where all the participants were first asked, would you be willing to be paid to receive an electric shock? And they're like, hell no. But then one by one, they're led into a room where they get to sit with themselves. There's no window. They sit at a table with a chair and they get to just sit by themselves. They could twiddle their thumbs. They could meditate. They could do push-ups, or they could give themselves an electric shock. And over 50% of men chose to shock themselves over and over again. And over 20% of women chose to do the same rather than sit still with themselves.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. We can say it's a challenge. And I think that, that's so interesting. It kind of takes, it's a bit off topic, but it takes us into an interesting area where we are, as humans, we prefer to have extremely stimulating situations like an electric shock, or rather than the messy middle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's ultimately the work that I teach my clients as the clutter expert is how to be present with oneself for your own experience and stop running from yourself, because all clutter accumulates because of your unwillingness to look at it. And the outside only being a mirror of the inside just simply means you're not willing to be present with yourself. You get to give yourself the gift of your presence. And then every area of your life gets better magically. They're like, how has this happened? I'm releasing weight. I feel happier. I'm spontaneously clearing clutter. Money's coming in. I'm letting go of the toxic relationship.
I think we wrote the same book.
Right?
Because essentially it's about coming present to ourselves with curiosity and kindness and compassion.
So perfect. So perfect. So if people are interested in connecting with you, how do they reach out to you?
I'm on Instagram, where I'm Kate_Codrington. And my website, there is a ton. There's an Aladdin's cave of meditations, of Yoga Nidra, of graphics, of all kinds of things on my website, and that's katecodrington.co.uk. And the book's out. You can pre-order it now in America. You know, I thought I was going to be on a driving around New York in an open top car with my mates on the book tour. Here I am on Zoom. Oh, there you go.
Oh, awesome.
But it's yeah, you can pre-order now, and you can have it in your hot hands on the 3rd of May. So very soon.
Fantastic. And for those of you wondering, I'll have a link that you can order it in the email that goes with this video. So don't worry about that. We'll have the link posted for you. But before we wrap up, Kate, is there any final words of wisdom you want to share with our audience?
Thank you. Yes, just to say again that you don't need fixing. That even when you feel horrible, your version of horrible, whatever that is today, those feelings have value. Those feelings are valid and real and have value and are deserving of good care.
Yeah, love that. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you sharing your message with my community, and such an honor and a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been an absolute delight.
You bet. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Kate Codrington, and we will see you soon.